in the live stream, doing the stuffs and the things in the live streams, talking about the God and the not God, and the is there a God, and the how do we know is there the God, and the theisms and the atheisms, and the whatnots, and the stuffs and the things, and the stuffs and the things. Yeah. As I battle my seasonal allergies. Love the spring. So happy spring is here. It's kicking my butt a little bit, but what can you do? We will be okay. We will figure it out. Trying not to sneeze. Ugh. My face. Just do it. No. I will not. I refuse. My allergies were getting better, but I don't know. Today they kind of took a downhill turn. Don't ask me why. Also, hello, RM. Welcome. Feeling pretty sniffy in here. Sure could do with a nice big sneeze, right? Gosh. Especially it gets me like at the end of the night when like the previous day's allergy medication starts to wear off. And then I take more allergy medication and like wait for it to kick in. Made another post about how all three of the Abrahamic religions worship the same God. They just go different directions with it. And I did try to explain a little bit better as to like, how they all worship the same God, just go different directions with it. And I'm still getting people commenting on it, if you could believe it, saying, no, they're not the same God because they're different. Literally addressed that in the video. Can't help them all, I guess. I don't really know what to do about that one. Meanwhile, God's answer to John for questions very much like these, and I think they were talking about Job. So it sounds like Job, unless I just don't know my Bible, which is possible. The whole, were you there when the universe was created? Surely it was you who was there when the earth was forged. All this stuff. I'm aware of the verse, the verse where at the end of a book where God just allows a good righteous man to suffer and be tortured just so he can win a bet with Satan, so God could win a bet with Satan. The dude's just like, why the fuck is this happening to me? And God just like, don't fucking ask questions ever again. And it's great. Submission. That's the lesson. Is I can do whatever the fuck I want to you and don't ever question me because you don't know what I'm doing. You don't understand my ways. My ways are above your ways, all that stuff. I know that's a different verse. But it's like, shut the fuck up. Let's also be real. When you actually stand before God, and this goes for everyone, you wouldn't be able to get a single word out from tears of either joy that you're going home, that's not my home, or absolute fear of how you rejected his gift? No, I don't know, man. I mean, hey, you never really know until like you're in the situation how you're gonna react to a situation. So hey, maybe, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, mixed. I feel like they have the same Yahweh, but Christians think Jesus was literally God, and the other two think that's absurd. I've heard Muslims and Jews pray in each other's churches. Yeah, I mean, it is just them going just different directions with it. They twisted the narrative and built it up. Even Judaism, borrowed and built off of previous religions that came before it. It's just kind of the name of the game. As a Christian, we get attacked by Satan constantly. So if I left, I would be joining Satan. Of course you feel fine. You joined Satan. You're not a threat anymore. Why would he attack you? And they're like, I didn't mean that to be mean. Just, Jesus loves you and whatnot. Yeah, because if you leave Christianity and everything's fine and it's great or better, it's because Satan's leaving you alone because he won and all that good stuff. If your life gets worse, or if it's like worse, or it's just not as happy or whatever, then that's God punishing you. It's one of those little things where they have a little excuse for anything that happens. They can point it back to God. It's like prayer, If God answers prayers, that's evidence. That's God answering prayers. If he doesn't answer prayers, no, that's not evidence that God doesn't exist. It's just sometimes his answers are no or not now. It's little things that are built in, which is like no matter what happens, they can come up with something to say, nah, it was still God. And that completely shreds falsifiability. If you come up with a way where every single outcome can be God. In Thessalonians, Paul is all about Jesus' imminent return. Timothy wasn't written by Paul, but it's purported to be. And by then he's basically like, well, I'm dying and missed out. How the fuck is that overlooked? Oh yeah. You can see in the early New Testament after the Gospels, it is very much an idea of like, yeah, Jesus is coming. Like now. And then like he doesn't. What can you do? Oh man, attacked by Satan. Remember being attacked by Satan? I do remember genuinely thinking that I was under attack by Satan. It was great, not traumatizing at all. It's wonderful. It's not like traumatizing or abusive or anything of the sort. So why would it be? Maybe. Hey, will you read Philippians? Yeah. I saw the PH. Do I know my Bible? Probably not. There it is. Philippians 2. Almost there. I don't even think she eats it. Is she chewing? Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, she is.
Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem the other better than themselves. Boo, boo, just right out the gate, getting booed. That's a pretty good verse, not gonna lie. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Oh, you're supposed to say, I thought you were like booing me. Like, boo, get off the stage. The principle is to value others above yourselves and be humble. Yeah. Hey, will you read Numbers 31, 15 through 18? You know, RM, I will. I think I will. Let me see. I even have it. Where did you go? There you are. 31. I even have it highlighted, if you could believe it, RM. Verse 31, 15 through 18. And Moses said unto them, Have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel, through the counsel of Balaam, to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. I'm not good at pronunciation of words. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known a man by lying with him. But all the women children that have not that have not known a man. Sorry, it's just so disgusting. But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. Don't you love it? The Word of God. I'm reading from the book of Numbers. And God said, keep the unmarried virgin girls for yourselves. It's one of those shitty things when like you actually read the entire Bible and like don't ignore or like skip over or try to make excuses for the bad parts of it as an appetizer because we killed and ate him. Right? It's just one of those things. It's pretty great. What can you do at the end of the day? Ah. Do y'all reckon God tastes like anything? So didn't move on its own. Gravity and shittily stacked books is what did it. This was not a very good bookend. I wasn't using this one. Never mind, God is here. He knocked it over. God is saying you can't tell the difference. Sometimes in the Bible you can't. What can you do? What can you do? Old Testament judgment passages are hard to read. I fully get that. But the principle of Philippians 2:3 in the New Testament and the conduct of being gentle and humble and lowly of heart, forgiving. assume you're not done, because I'm not going to respond until I make sure you're done. Feels like you might have more to say, so I don't want to cut you off. I want to let you get your full thought out. Yeah, the Old Testament passages are hard to read. Yeah, because kind of shitty. And then when Jesus comes in and says that like not one jot or tittle of the law shall pass till heaven and earth pass away, therefore like says like the law is still very much in force, and especially when women in the New Testament letters are still being treated as lesser than men, still continuing the same themes from the Old Testament, with that nice little bridge of Jesus saying, yeah, that shit still stands. I appreciate your kindness in assuming I may have more. Simply I wanted to say New Testament says love and forgive and be merciful and humble and gentle and patient and help the lowly and the poor. It's also says some other stuff too, but also like the entire Bible. Like I understand if we only pick certain sections out of the Bible, it sounds great. Because this, not everyone might like hearing me say this, but this isn't just like disgusting bloodshed and horror cover to cover. Like it's not all terrible. There's some, if you squint and you cut out little pieces and you have those, there's some pretty good verses. But that's not how the Bible works. It's supposed to be one book, one word of God. The Old Testament, I've said this in the past. Like, I understand we like to cut out the Old Testament, but one, Jesus said don't do that, and two, this is the Old Testament. This is the New Testament. It's the majority of the book. And you just, like, I understand wanting to throw it out. I understand wanting to ignore it. I really, really, really do, but hard to read. It is a very political way of saying that it clearly depicts a vicious God that is much more believable as a Bronze Age myth than an objectively moral character. I hear you. But did you know 1 Peter 3:7 teaches Yahweh won't even listen to the prayers of the abusive husband? Seriously, he hinders them. Still says that wives should be submissive to their husband. There is some, even if they are abusive. There is some wisdom in the Bible, however, those nuggets aren't unique to the Bible and don't change the atrocious passages the book is loaded with. Correct, I agree. And again, like, that's great, Jack. You found another verse. I can find good verses too. I have a Bible verse hung up in my house around a wedding photo of Taylor and I. It's the love verse, it's the love verse. Love is not proud. Love is, all that. I can't remember which one it is, but I have that because like it's a pretty verse. I like it. Like, the Bible has good verses in it, but the whole book and the God, the unchanging, constant, all-knowing God that is depicted throughout the Bible, even like I said, even in the New Testament, they're promoting slavery. They're promoting misogyny. God in Acts struck a couple down for withholding money from the church and then lying about it. Just murdered them. So God's still just like killing people. It's like just gentle little reminders. So like, yeah, it's the same God, as like the rest of the book. The same God in the first like 70, 80%, and this is the same God in the other 20, 30%. What do you know? How do you feel about someone saying women are deformed males? I think that's nasty. You know, how do you feel about someone saying women are deformed males? I think that's nasty. You know, I don't think I've ever heard that be said. Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's a pretty gross thing to say. Did y'all see in one of my recent posts that I made which version of the Bible is best version of the Bible and why go, and like my background picture of like the Bibles? That's a clean ass photo. That's like a good photo. I took that. That's just a photo of my bookshelf that I took with my Android, and it's like stock image, professional photo. If you don't look at it too closely. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is the greatest thing to come out of Christianity. I love that verse. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I love that verse. Oh, it's not in the... Yeah, it's not in the Bible, is it? I'm dumb. That's probably why I couldn't think of where it was. But I do love that saying. That was said by Aristotle, 4th century BCE. It is yucky. Yeah, that is a yucky thing to say, that women are deformed males. Many months ago, during my first time finding this stream, I asked you if you could retroactively create the 11th commandment, what would it be? Do you remember what you said? Do you? Did I say something cool and good? I am not Jewish. I am an atheist. Did I say something cool? Said don't be a dick. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Something along those lines.
Sounds like you.
Yeah. 11th commandment. I'm gonna stop.
Like
I'm gonna stop sending out the hell. Yeah. So you want to repeal the 19th? What does that have to do with anything? Jamie, I have absolutely no idea what you're going on about. I also see me talking about the 19th Amendment, which, full transparency, I do not have memorized. I've read through the Constitution once, and then, like, don't use it, so it fades. 19th, thank you, Dim. I didn't want to look it up. I was going to. The 19th Amendment to the... You're in Australia. Why the fuck do you know the Constitution better than me? So it's probably because you're doomed. You're like that. You know a lot more than I do. The 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified on August 18, 1920, prohibits the federal government and states from denying citizens' rights to vote based on the basis of sex. I googled it before you did. It sounds like a Google thing. Some say women voting is leading to a lot of the current problems we are experiencing. I think that's just bigoted misogyny. Ignorant, bigoted misogyny that we can do without. I'm gonna be completely fucking honest. I think that's a desperate attempt to push the misogynistic agenda of Christianity back into society. If I'm gonna be honest with you. Bro, did you know there's another lovely verse in the Bible right here? It says, husbands, love your wives, and do not be harsh with them. What if wives wanted to be harsh? It also says, wives, submit to your husbands. It also does put them as a lower submissive position. It also says that they can't teach and they can't speak in church. Still puts them at a lower position. And given that, like, kind of near that, God gives the thing about slaves, slaves be submissive to your masters, even the cruel ones. He also says masters, don't be cruel. But if the master is cruel, the slave is still expected to be submissive, and then God will sort them out later, because the slave is doing their part, even if the master is not. So it would stand to reason that a woman is still meant to be submissive to a husband, even if he's harsh. And then God will sort them out later, give the husband his punishment and the wife her reward. Women voting isn't the problem, it's the increasing misogyny amongst men that are causing them to be lonely and angry. Yeah. I think this is a kind of emotional take by you. You didn't ask what data I have to support that. Sure, what data do you have to support that? Young men are more misogynistic than older men right now. I see it as kind of a mixed bag. Depends on where you look also. The alt-right pipeline has ruined men, and women don't want to put up with that shit. Hey, give me a second, I'll find the video where I heard it. I hear you saying that, but focus on the issue of harsh, bitter. What if the husband wanted to be harsh? The Bible says that's bad, right? Yes. But it also says wives be submissive to the husbands. And Jesus also preaches, like, hey, be good. Like, even if others aren't being good, I'll fucking sort you guys out later. And that's the instruction he gave to the slave and the slave owner. Doom, how did you post a link? I thought I had links disabled. I hope it's because you're a moderator. I think it is. I think I might remember something like that, actually. Special boy. I guess so. The Bible also assumes the self-dictated stance that the husband is in a position to be harsh, should he choose to be, and thus needs corrected. The Bible also assumes its self-dictated stance that the husband is in a position to be harsh, should he choose to be, and thus needs corrected, rather than provide a framework assuming equality. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong in that video. I didn't watch the video, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Still not available. Aces, let's go. It also says Christ is to submit to God, but Christ has the nature of God. To its equality of nature, but different positions. I understand that may not sound perfect, but it's equal ontological. Still not quite the same thing. Plus, Jesus is supposed to be God. But basically, a study found that young men are way more misogynistic than boomers, which is crazy considering what the fuck boomers were doing back in the day. It's equality of nature. It's not equality of nature, though, when the Bible is packed with, like, men being superior. Why not don't be harsh to your spouse as a law for men and women? And don't smack your wives around. They're fragile and stupid. Get the fuck out of here. The spouses are the weaker vessel. Funny how woke people don't talk about the insane quantity of women constantly shit-talking men It's always the men who are in the wrong to woke people. Women are more sexist than men. I think you got a little bit of bias there. Because I do think that there is something to be said about, like, historically, men treating women in a shitty fashion. And Christianity helped promote that, of men treating women in a shitty fashion, like they are inferior or whatever. So there might be something to that. Are we talking about men being shitty because we're woke or stupid, or is there like are we just kind of saying some of the facts? Women can also be shitty, and we're very much aware of that. Men are more sexist, but you are right that women are becoming more sexist themselves, but it's nowhere close. Men are completely fucked in the brain right now. What does Christianity have to do with me? Women are not oppressed in the West. Women are not oppressed in the West. Okay. Believe it or not, women are still okay with men. They're just not okay with shitty men. Yes, I agree. Women are not oppressed in the West is a take. We were just talking about women losing the right to vote, possibly losing the right to vote and whatnot, like 10 minutes ago. You are in an open forum dedicated to constructive content. A contrary opinion will immediately be framed a Christian-based stance, and you know it. You are in an open forum dedicated to deconstruction content. A contrary opinion will immediately be framed as Christian-based stance, and you know it. Women are allergic to accountability. Jamie, you got a lot going on right now.
Well, this is fine.
It's the truth. Name one law in the U.S. that oppresses women. Roe v. Wade just got overturned a couple of years ago. I will not, Rod. I will allow the comment, but I will not. You're just listing off propaganda talking points. You're a victim of a patriarchy and its manipulation. Please read this about the equal dependencies of men and women to one another. 1 Corinthians. So listen, I said it a couple of times. I understand, the cherry picking of the Bible. Some verses sound better than others. But that's not like how you read the whole text. That's the context. I get accused of taking the Bible out of context all the time. My context is the entire text of the Bible. My context is I don't cherry pick. Jamie, if you were a better person, you wouldn't. All right, well, that's a little mean. This is the second time Rodolfo has been saying this kind of stuff. Yeah, I'll allow it. Abortion is murder. Abortion gets into a little bit more of a trickier category. A human being does have rights over the body who gets to use their body, especially if there's legitimate harm that can come from it. You have to have a little bit of sympathy to the woman in the situation. Rodolfo, I'm not sure your stance that Drew lick his lips is scripturally consistent. Do you have a passage to reference? When people do not have valid arguments, like your moderator, they result in personal attacks. That is how I know I am right and they are in the wrong. Yep, that's it. Do you have sympathy for the murdered baby? I'm pro-choice. I don't really like abortion. I don't really have an issue with the idea of life starting at conception. But it's a tough situation. And I think the hardest decision that a woman has to make isn't yours. And I think a lot of women who go to those abortion clinics are making a tough decision. Not to mention, I know a lot of people like to say it's a low statistic, but that doesn't mean that we can just disqualify it, because a lot of these abortion laws are disqualifying it. Victims of rape. That is a thing. Victims of rape who get pregnant and then are forced to carry the rapist baby, including children. There's a broader picture. And I used to be completely pro-life. I understand where you're coming from. It's easy to tunnel vision on just but the baby, But it's so much more than that. Anti-abortion laws don't prevent abortions. They also don't just prevent abortions, they also prevent a whole host of other women's health care from being performed. Women are dying due to lack of access to medical care. Even women who are having miscarriages where the baby is already dead. Certain procedures can't be done to the woman because of abortion laws, because certain procedures are used for both abortions and miscarriages. If we want to like cherry pick and like make things fair, maybe it might be a little bit better. I still believe in women's rights to their bodies. But a lot of these abortion laws are all or nothing, completely cutting off any kind of access for any reason. Doom is providing links to the relevant data and making fact-based statements to the best of his ability. What the hell are you talking about? Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up to her. The husbands ought also to love their own wives and their own bodies, not cherry pick. It's the teachings. Love them, yes. And yes, the Bible does say husbands don't beat your wives, but it also does say women need to be submissive and are worth less than men and have less rights than men throughout. Relevant data is not accurate. I mean, it is data that is the very least relevant. I mean, it is data that is at the very least relevant. Baby is dead, then you are not killing the baby. Therefore, I have no issue with that. That's the problem with these abortion laws, though. These abortion laws do have that issue. Because people just say no abortion-esque procedures of any kind. And therefore, when a woman is having a miscarriage, she does not get the procedure that she needs because of the abortion laws. Because there's no sympathy, there's no understanding, there's no care for the mother. There's just don't kill babies and that's it. And we ignore all of the nuances of the situation. That's the issue with these things. In a study of 23,000 men, there is no room for error or inaccuracy. That's damn near fact when it comes to science, sociology and scientific research. And why doesn't the unborn baby have rights to its own body? Like you say, women are being denied. If someone is connected to your body and using it against your will, you have the right to disconnect them. And it's a cliche argument, but I'm going to say it. If you pass away and you didn't sign off to be an organ donor, nobody can take your organs and use them for any purpose. They just rot and die with you. Even if they can go to save, Timmy and Susie and Clara, who are all like, kids dying of cancer in the same hospital, they still can't have it. Just like, sorry, maybe wait till the next one because this person did not sign a little piece of paper. So therefore, even though they're dead and they're not using the organs and the organs are just going to die and rot with them, they still can't take the organs. So a corpse has more right to its body and to its organs than a woman does when it comes to pregnancy and abortion laws and stuff like that. It boils down to two things. When is an assembly of cells human, and can someone be forced to use their own body to sustain someone else's? I disagree with your premise. We are at a stalemate. I think so. When it comes to human beings, we care about people's experience, and there is no thought or experience or emotion. There is no person. Maybe. I honestly don't know where I stand on, like, when the baby is a baby versus, like, a clump of cells or whatever. My brain, I just kind of default to, and not saying this is the default, but my brain just kind of goes to baby at conception, sure. When my wife was pregnant with our daughter, as soon as I found out, before I even cared about any, heartbeat or brain waves or anything like that, I was kissing and talking to her belly. So that's just me. But I also have sympathy for the other party in the situation. I don't tunnel vision just on the baby. That occurs at about the 24-week mark, which is vastly major of abortions occurred beforehand. Yeah, the vast majority of abortions are being done well within the first trimester. You sound like a child. Your arguments are not logical. I assume you're talking about Doom. Doom brought facts. He gave you links to data. I'm not saying that in a passive aggressive way. I mean, you legitimately may be a child. He at least presented data. So I'm going to leave because I don't want to argue with a child. Sure, buddy. Calling me a child and illogical doesn't mean I am one. Those are just petty insults and baseless dismissals. If something I say is wrong, point out why. It's passive aggressive. Make no mistakes. You can't lie to me. Data. Yes! Data! Yes! Doom presented studies and data. Yes, I'm sorry. Data does kind of matter. So many of Americans' problems would be solved overnight, like racism, if all religion disappeared. So many of Americans' problems would be solved overnight, like racism, if all religions disappeared. You know, the religions are definitely not helping. The issue is there were some issues that existed way long back that we plugged into religions and are now being filtered out, reinforced and filtered out through religions. So, like, shitty people were shitty people before religion was making people shitty people. And that's kind of how shitty religions kind of got going, it seems. But yeah, religion's definitely not helping the situation when it comes to things like racism and sexism and things of the sort. Love you, bro. Love you, bro. There's not one verse that says women are worth less than men. Not one. The ideal woman in Scripture is a worker, businesswoman, and does good deeds. She's valued above jewels. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me just open this up. Let me just open this up. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. And thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even unto 60 years old, even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary. If it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels. And if it be from 5 years old, even unto 20 years old, then thy estimation shall be the male 20 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. And if it be from a month old, even unto 5 years old, then thy estimation shall be of the 5 shekels of silver, and for the female thy estimation shall be 3 shekels of silver. And if it shall be 60 years old and above, if it be a male, then thy estimation shall be 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. A verse where women are monetarily set as lesser than women, being worth less than women. I also really love, let's get Numbers 30 up in here real quick. Numbers 30 is a little bit long. I'll summarize it, but it is Numbers 30. You can look it up yourself. I'm pretty sure it's just all of Numbers 30. Yeah. If a man makes a vow, he's got to stick to that vow. No matter what. You make a vow, you got to stick to it. If a woman makes a vow, her husband or father can veto that vow. They have the right to do that, whoever is above her. So she has less rights, less of a say. Her husband or father have a say. There is also, again, in the New Testament, women are not permitted to teach. They are not permitted to hold authority over a man. They are not allowed to speak in church. People like you I do not like. I'm sorry. If you end up liking me, it means I'm going down a path. Alright. Y'all are just fucking spitting at each other now. Oh, what a woman actually is. Jamie's hitting all the points, man. The whole complexion of the modern world is due to the absence of Jerusalem. I'm sorry. The whole complexion of the modern world is due to the absence of Jerusalem of a lunatic asylum. Maybe. I spit. 1 Timothy. Let's do it. 1 Timothy. One Timothy 2, 9 through 15. Hey, I have it highlighted. What do you know? In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjugation. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. And that brings up the Garden of Eden, the whole situation in a garden that was absolutely God's fault. I agree on that, but that's not about women's worth. That's economic valuation in an ancient legal system in its fallen society. Again, like we're giving you verses here, and like you're just kind of ignoring them and bringing up other verses. Like, yeah, but this verse says nice things. I understand the Bible says nice things, but when you read the whole book is a misogynistic text. Yeah, I've read the Bible too. I do need to brush up because those memories are starting to gray. If you can't tell, I want to read this first. It's a mostly complete collection of the Dead Sea Scrolls in English. I know that's not like a perfect representation of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but I don't know Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic to go and read the actual Dead Sea Scrolls, so forgive me, this is the closest I'm going to get. And from what I've read, it's a pretty good translation, but I will take it with a grain of salt. I still, want at least some kind of knowledge of what's in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I think this is probably as best as I'm going to get. And it's going to take me like 1,000 years to read, because look at how long that is. I have been getting better at reading, though. And then I want to read that one, the NRSV. Because I've listened to an audiobook of it twice, but I haven't actually read through it yet. Bro, I think your YouTube channel is dead. God is fine. I mean, my YouTube channel gets more action than God seems to put forth as far as what can be demonstrated. Heading up, bro. Wish you the best. Enjoy your night. Thank you for stopping by, Jack. Hope to see you again. I might have I do have ADHD, but I might have like a dirty brain, that's been defiled by things and whatnot. But I just looked over at my screen because I looked up that verse on the shekels. And one of the first websites that comes up is Bible Hub. Get a new name. Get a new name. Because, like, get a new name. And if you don't know why, hey, God bless you. You know, if you don't know why, your brain is cleaner than mine. And your soul is probably more intact and ready for heaven than mine, assuming we have one. But, like, change the name. You are on YouTube and you haven't watched the thousands of testimonies of people seeing Jesus? Yeah. Easier to live in La La Land and not see the obvious in front of you. And I like RM. I've seen plenty of testimonies from Muslims and Hindus as well. And testimonies from atheists on how much their life got better and whatnot after leaving religion. Drew, you would be far better off to discard your books of mythologies and concentrate on science. Yeah, but I like religious studies. I'm weird. I'm like a religious nerd. This is my hobby. This is what I like doing. I'm excited to get to read the Bible again, guys. That's who you're talking to. That's the weirdo you're talking to. Liar, you will see thousands and thousands of testimonies from Christians, maybe not even 10 videos from other religious folks. Actually, Muslims claim to see Jesus in their dreams too. So, algorithms are a thing. Depending on what your algorithm is, depending on what you look up, what videos you watch on a regular basis, YouTube, or pretty much any social media platform, which YouTube technically is going to give you more of what you're watching and what you're liking. So, yeah, I completely wholeheartedly believe that your YouTube feed is filled with thousands of testimonies of Christians and maybe a couple testimonies of Jews and Muslims and Hindus, most of which are probably within Christian videos commentating on those testimonies. Just if I had to guess. Historians struggled for decades to find suggestions that Jesus existed outside of the other lone source, the Bible. Yeah. There's some extra-biblical sources that have said, like, hey, I heard this story about a dude who named Jesus who, like, did this stuff, but, like, they don't really give too much credibility. You know who else claimed to see divine figures? Basically almost every religion that has ever existed. Yeah. It's a common thing. It's interesting when you start to study religion how many similarities you find in the various religions. Why would or wouldn't you rely on extra biblical sources if the Bible is the most accurate and well-preserved document in the world? Because it's not. Because it's not. When you depend on the Bible to verify other documents, since the Bible is the most historically well-preserved document and the most manuscripts best preservation. No, the Bible is the most accurate and well-preserved document in the world, though. It's not. It gets things historically wrong. It's full of unverified claims. Just on the shelf behind me, I have like 4 or 5 different versions of the Bible that say different things and can tweak the story and the narrative in certain ways. And there are other, pre-King James Bibles that were written quite differently and told different stories in certain aspects and push different narratives and different lessons than the King James. The Bible's been translated and retranslated and tweaked, and entire sections and verses and books have been removed and added over the years. It's not. There's no archaeological evidence for a global flood. If that happened, we would see it in geological records. Yeah. The Garden of Eden, the creation story in Genesis, gets the order of events that the world was created wrong. And I say created, colloquially. The language in which the Bible was written and the English translation can have different translations. Yes, we can have better translations. What's the issue here? Some translations are a bit different. Does the overall message change? In some instances, yeah, it can. Even words. I get in arguments with people on a regular basis. I actually haven't in a minute. Because when the Bible talks about slavery, some versions of the Bible say servants and some say slaves. And that does kind of change the thing of it. Sorry, doing work stuff. Give me a minute. We don't stop working. I'm probably going to end the live stream soon as well. And yes, I remove my glasses when I'm looking at some of this stuff so you can't see the reflection. Not that it's not really any sensitive data. It's just like, you know, I'm a little bit, I'm extra careful when it comes to people's information. I'm sorry. Are you saying there's no translation in which the flood didn't happen in the Bible? Pre-printing press copyrights, copyist errors are logical. How does that contradict the Bible's main claim that is the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ? Also, no amount of translation can render the sequence in which the world was created. The days were literally labeled numerically Earth, Sun, Stars, when in reality the order is Star, Sun, Earth. You expect every copyist to make a perfect copy of text? Some word or full stop or comma doesn't change the fact that the overall message has remained the same. I thought the Bible was the most well-preserved document in history. Didn't you just say that? Hey, Eric. Oh, you're sick? I'm sorry. I'm going to end the live stream here in just a minute. But I'm glad you were able to sneak in last minute. Always good to see you. And yes, hope you feel better. Well preserved, yes. Copyist error doesn't mean it is not well preserved. I think it kind of does. I don't know. I think it kind of does. That's why I translated so many different languages so that people cannot corrupt the message by hijacking the translation in one language. Sure, that's why. It's not because we needed to spread Christianity, all over the globe and use it to control the people and whatnot. And therefore needed to write it in different languages. Alright. I do think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream there. I do post these live streams afterwards, so if you guys are having conversations or have anything else that you want to add and put in, feel free to put it in the comment section underneath, especially because I do think sometimes and it might be a device thing, and it might be, I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm able to access the live chat after the stream, and sometimes I'm not. So especially, if you have anything that you want to say and want, cemented in the comment section or whatever the live stream, you can post it in the comment section. Also, posting comments helps the algorithm, just saying. And obviously, again, if you guys are having conversations, I don't mean to cut you off or anything. But with that, thank you all so much for being here. I say it every time because I mean it every time. I'm always grateful to anyone who doesn't just, skip past my live streams. I'm a random nobody on the internet. I don't really deserve anyone's attention or anything. So the fact that anyone stops even for a second, stays and lurks, chats, likes, subscribes, whatever, comes back for other live streams, watches other videos, visits the channel, whatever it is, it's really, really cool to me, and it means a lot. So thank you truly, everyone, for being here. Thank you for engaging and being awesome. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, whenever you watch this. I usually go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, usually starting somewhere between 9 and 10 p.m. Central Standard Time and going for about an hour. And I hope to see you there. Bye.